This tutorial will walk you through the steps for our course timeline assignments in our New Mexico History Intersession class. As you can see behind me and hear, unfortunately, I'm working at Starbucks today. That tends to be the case more often than not during the intersession because I don't have as much access to my office as I usually do otherwise. So I apologize for the background noise in advance. So here you can see we're in our course. Hopefully this should look familiar to you. I'm going to scroll down a little bit to the course content section of the menu here in C&M Learn. This is where you will find all of the pertinent information that you need to navigate the course and complete assignments. Of course, you can access everything through the learning modules, and that will give you the step-by-step for each unit. This link will take you directly to the Mile eText for this class. Of course, you'll have to use your own login credentials for that. This will explain the reading tweets assignment. And then here we are at the timeline assignment. So I'm going to click that one and show you what is in the timeline tab. I'll scroll down just a touch. So this first link will just take you directly to the course timeline on Tiki-Taki. This is what it looks like when you first go there. I'm going to go back to the original tab, so we'll be switching between tabs as we go along here today. Here are the timeline assignment instructions. So I'm going to open that one in a new tab. So here we can see the assignment instructions, and then I'm going to go back to the original tab. Below here, this is where I will post this video that I'm currently updating. Then here are all the folders where you will submit your work for the timeline. Please note, as explained here, for Unit 1, you don't actually have to submit anything. You just need to look over the instructions and make sure that you understand what you're doing for the timeline. So let me go back up to the top. I'm going to start us here with the timeline assignment instructions. I'm not going to read through this in each step specifically. You can do that on your own. Please ask questions as you have them. What I am going to do is just show you how to do all of this stuff. So here is another link to the course timeline. Here is the username and password that you will need to use to log in to the course timeline. Everyone will be using the same one. We'll be working on the same timeline. So I'm going to go back over to the timeline on Tiki-Taki. I'm just going to either click continue or this X to get rid of the introduction box. This is what the blank timeline looks like. It will soon be populated with many of your posts. To log in, just go here to the login button and then enter the username that I gave you, which was New Mexico History, and the password, which my browser already remembers, but that is located in the assignment instructions. This is what you'll see next. You scroll down just a little bit and click on the words New Mexico History. And then you're back with the difference that you have access to this admin box, this admin tools. This is what you will use to post your timelines, post your timeline entries. You'll just create new story every time, and then you'll see a list of the stories that have been completed when this first opens. Otherwise, you don't really need to do anything. Otherwise, you just use create new story. And you can see, here is the story. Before you've gotten to this step, however, you will have looked over the unit that we're working on and chosen a topic as explained in the timeline assignment instructions. So this can be a person, a place, an event, a theme that directly relates to the time frame of the unit that we're currently working on. So for Unit 2, for example, we go from the earliest inhabitants of New Mexico up to the Pueblo Revolt. So anything that's a long range, they aren't usually that long, but anything that fits within that time frame is fair game for the timeline as a topic. Here I've given you some examples. So in going back to the timeline assignment instructions, I will have another link to this video here. Then this explains the identification step. That's what we're working on right now. That's the first thing you'll do on the first day of the unit for the timeline. And this explains, again, how to choose your topic. And then, once you've chosen your topic, the first thing you need to do, let me see where I've written it, is right here in this red, of course, so that's why I couldn't see it. The first thing you need to do once you've chosen your topic is go to the timeline and create a placeholder so no one else takes it while you're working on it. So you don't want to do a bunch of research and complete all the work on the timeline assignment and then go back to Tiki-Taki and find that someone else has posted that. So I'm going to do the Bering Strait Land Bridge, if I can spell it right. And I'm going to have to place it correctly on the timeline. So I know that this one, just for the sake of argument, goes from about 11,000 BC. Did you notice that it switched back to AD? So you have to watch this, make sure it stays on BC. Also, you have to actually pick a date on the calendar for this to update your date correctly. So because I'm looking at something that doesn't have a definitive start and end date, it's sort of a range, I'm just going to choose January 1st and click confirm. I'm going to leave the start date and the end date the same, again, for the sake of argument here. And if you have to make these kinds of decisions about how you placed your event on the timeline, you need to explain that a little bit in the entry that you post. You know, why you did it the way you did it. Here, I did this because it actually went from something like 70,000 BC potentially all the way to 11,000 BC, and I didn't want to stretch out our timeline to that extent so it would distort it. So I'm just going to leave it here at 11,000. Next, in this intro box that I just highlighted, you'll write your name, by Brandon Morgan. And then you can choose the category. So this one is a place, the Bering Strait Land Bridge. So now I have created my placeholder. I will click Save, and I can see my work right here on the timeline. And now I can leave and go work on the actual research for the identification step. Again, that's explained here. I have an example that I created that I'm going to show you. So once you've created your placeholder, you want to go and do all of your work in a Word document or similar. I'm using Google Docs. You can use whatever word processor you have that works for you. And here you'll see that I have Beringia, or the Bering Strait Land Bridge. Like I said, approximately between 75,000 and 13,000 years ago, so I chose a date. Then what you want to do, it is really advisable to use information from the eText for your post, but don't rely only on that information. You need to also find another outside source, something that you find credible, something that is not Wikipedia or bios.com or any other encyclopedia type of site, but something that presents an article or some other kind of information about your topic. I found one at Scientific American on this topic. I also found a video about the Bering Strait Land Bridge on YouTube. If you can't find a video about your topic, you can choose an image instead. So just do images.google.com, put in your topic, and choose an image to go along with your post. Then have the URLs right here in your document at the beginning. So your outside source and the link to either your video or image. It could be either one. There are some topics that are more difficult to find images for. If that's the case, please just find something similar or something kind of related to your topic as an image just to put into the post. Then what you want to do is, following the instructions provided over here in the timeline assignment, you're going to write your ID step. So essentially this is just a couple paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs, in which you explain what the topic is and what some of the most recent knowledge about this topic is. And then you need to make sure, and I've done this in this last paragraph, you need to make sure to discuss your topic's historical significance. So explain why this matters to the study of New Mexico history. This last step in the post is where you will provide some analysis. You'll explain and interpret what you've written about your topic. And again, just tell us, why does this matter? Why is it important? So every time you do one of these, if you haven't addressed that issue of, so what, why does this matter? Make sure that you go back and do it. Also, make sure that you are very specific about historical significance. There are a lot of different ways to approach that. This one is because it was the major pathway for the arrival of the region's earliest inhabitants. But I didn't just leave it at that. I explained who those inhabitants were when they arrived in New Mexico, and what the connection to New Mexico was for the Bering Strait Land Bridge. So again, just because something still exists today, I've seen this as a historical significance example that some students have given, that isn't necessarily significant. It doesn't necessarily matter, or something isn't necessarily important just because it still exists, or just because it's still around. Also, make sure to not be too general in the way that you talk about significance. So just to say that this event or this place influenced the course of New Mexico history to the present day, that doesn't actually tell us anything about why it's significant. So keep all of that in mind as you complete your post. Okay, so now I've done this, I'm going to submit my Word document to Blackboard. So that's where you go over here to the timeline assignment, to the timeline tab where we were at. You scroll down to the proper unit. So I go to Unit 2, Timeline Submissions. I go to the Unit 2 ID step. You'll notice the connection step is just below it. So when you're ready to post that, you do that. And then you can just browse your computer and attach the file. If you do a Google Doc, you'll have to share the link to the document in the comment box instead. Or I'm sorry, not in the comment box, but in the submission box. So you'll share the link to that if you have created a Google Doc. If you just did a Word doc, you can just upload it as you usually would, and then of course click Submit. Please be sure to submit to Blackboard and to Tiki-Taki both. I apologize that there are 2 steps for this, but the reason is, as long as you post it at Blackboard, I can make sure to find your work as it was. Sometimes things can get a little jumbled on the course timeline. I've never had anyone kind of blatantly sabotage the timeline since we're all working on it together. Everyone seems to be pretty good about that, but sometimes people make mistakes. So again, this makes sure that your work is saved as is. So again, that's how you do the ID step. I'm just going to cancel that because I'm not going to submit one. And that's also how you do the connection step. So for the connection step, which I'll talk about briefly in just a second, you'll write a briefer paragraph and you will post that here as well. Once you've done your paragraphs on your Word documents or similar, you will post those to Tiki-Taki. So what I'm going to do is just copy all of the text that I wrote, Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac, and I'm going to go over here to my post. Make sure that you're in your post, not in someone else's, because there will be a list of things here. If you're going back after a while, you may have to click Edit in order to get all of the features that you need. I'm going to go to Extra Info and click in this box that says Full Text and Control-V or Command-V and paste that right there. Whoops. And click Save. Okay, so now all my text is there. Next, I'm going to add my media. So you click the Media tab, and then you click this Add New Media. I'm going to go back to my document and grab the URL for my YouTube video. So I highlight that, Control-C or Command-C, and then in the source box, I paste that. And this one's a video, so I'm going to change it to video. If it's an image, you just leave it be. You don't actually have to do anything with the thumbnail or the caption unless you want to. And I'm going to click Save. Now I see that something has been added over here. Now I'm going to go back to Basic Info and put in the link to my outside source. So that is right here. Grab the URL again, same thing that I just did. Go over here and paste it in the link box and click Save. Now let me show you how this all appears over here. So on your post on the timeline, you can hide the admin box just by clicking this arrow or the word admin. I'm going to click More on my post here. And you can see now there's my name, there's the starting date, and I can scroll down and read the post. At the bottom where it says Find Out More, that's the link to the outside source that I've chosen. So this will pop up here in just a second because my internet's not super fast right now currently. So there's my outside source, and close that one. And here's my video, and I won't play it and make you watch it right now. All right, so I'm done. That's the ID step. That is complete. To complete the connection step, again, consult the instructions, read that through, and figure out what it is that you need to do to make a connection. The one thing I want to point out is that you make a connection and not a comparison between events. So the connection step comes on the second day of each unit. After everyone's posted their ID steps, you'll go back to the course timeline, and there will be more than just one post there because everyone will have done their work. And you scroll through. You can just go side to side, or you can use the list that's here, and you look at the different topics that have been posted, and then you choose one that connects to the topic that you posted. The connection can be really anything. You just sort of have to make a case for why the topic you've chosen connects to your ID step topic. And you write that paragraph that explains what the connection is and why it's significant. And then you go back to your post, not to the post that you're connecting to, but to your original post. Go back to your extra info box, scroll all the way to the end, hit enter, write connection, and then Control V and paste your connection paragraph in. I didn't create a connection document, but again, the steps for the connection is the same. Post the document to Blackboard in the appropriate spot, and then post your connection here to your original ID post. The last thing I want to say is that if you look over the timeline and you find that there really isn't anything that connects directly to your ID topic, that's okay. Don't panic. Just choose a topic that has not been posted to the timeline, but something that you read about that does connect to your ID topic. So I'd rather that you make a strong connection in that way by choosing something that's not yet on the timeline, rather than making a very stretched and tenuous connection to something that does appear on the timeline. So I hope that this tutorial has been helpful. Again, I apologize for the background noise that has been here. Please ask questions early and often as we go along, and I look forward to working with you on this timeline.